Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sheep Get Sheared podcast, home of people, politics, and popular culture. I'm your host, the one and only Austin Creed, and my friends, I've shared this statement with you on the show today, and considering that it's the morning show, I thought I'd mention it one more time to set the tone for this show. And the saying is this: it is the duty of every person to be rich, and it is a sin to be poor. Now, when you hear a statement like that, I'm sure your first reaction is probably negative. Probably like, well, who's he kidding? How could he say a thing like that? What does he mean it's a sin? What do you mean it's a duty to be rich? Well, when you break down that statement, it starts to make a little more sense. Let's break it down for a second, shall we? Because it ties into this general idea of how to develop habits that will make you wealthy. See, it all ties into the simple idea of motivation and how motivation is what people tend to lean on when it comes to building wealth. They think that they'll achieve what they want to achieve by depending upon when they feel motivated, when they feel as if I want to do this, when I feel excited, exhilarated to do the things that I need to do. When in reality, it's just not true. Do you think the people who make lots of money, you can go down the list of the wealthiest people in the world, do you think they woke up every day and they were like, yes, I get to do this, and I'm excited, and it's great, and I'm happy? No, I'm sure it was tough. I'm sure some days they woke up like that. Other days they woke up and they're like, man, I don't want to do none of this stuff. I want to go have fun, or I just want to chillax today. I'm feeling a little unmotivated. I don't want to do it. Of course they have. Everybody does that. Well, let's revisit that statement again. It is the duty of every person to be rich, and it is a sin to be poor. Now, and I believe it was in the book of Matthew. Matthew discusses the idea of, to him who has, he shall be given more, and to him who has little, it shall be taken away. Now, this might seem unfair, and I totally understand why you would say that it's unfair. Well, nothing is fair, because let's picture it like this. How do you picture wealth? Let me ask you that question. When I say that it is the duty of every person to be rich, wealth is something that is not just being doled out. So many people think that wealth is just being passed around, whether by the government or by the rich and the powerful. The wealth is something that's being doled out, not something that's being sown and then reaped like the crops of the field. So when I say that it is the duty of every person to be rich, you need to understand that wealth is something that is built. It is not something that is handed to you. Sure, in the case of inheritance, perhaps it's handed, but it's still been built by somebody. It's been built by somebody. It's not just handed to you when you started with nothing. No, that's not how it works. And when I say it is a sin to be poor, what do you say is a sin? If you were religious, you might say that sin is transgressing God's laws. Well, you're on the right track. But sin is transgression of the law. Now, the law could be laws of nature, laws of God, laws of man. You could use any measuring stick that you want. But when you try to reap the harvest before you've sown the seeds, that is a sin, because you're breaking the rules. You're breaking the law. It doesn't work that way. You have to give before you can get. And that is where this idea of habits comes into play that will make you wealthy. If you think that you're just going to take and scheme and wait for someone to hand you something, it's not going to happen. You have to develop these habits that help you build yourself up, help you have the energy to give to others, give to the world as a whole, and you will be rewarded. But it is not something that is just done on a whim. It is something you must do every day. That's what content creation is. It's giving to the world, giving to your fans, giving out knowledge, entertainment, so that people can consume it and hopefully make their lives better so that you can then be rewarded for the services that you have rendered. Now, let's go back to this idea of habits, shall we? What habits do you go through every day? I've just touched on this before, but I think it's so incredibly important and so overlooked by so many that that's why I want to discuss it again. You might be asking, what habits do the wealthy have? Well, first of all, before you ask what habits the wealthy have, do you even know the habits that you have? Have you even evaluated yourself to understand what it is your average day consists of? You might say your day is not average, but that is not correct. It just doesn't seem that way. Your perception has become reality, and you don't perceive yourself as being average, so you don't understand why your day or your activities would be any different. Problem is, most people are average. The term wouldn't exist otherwise. But because little things might happen here or there that throw you off your game, you think that your life is exciting or different. While your life and experiences might be different, the problem is we're all still humans. We have a common denominator of experiences. So when it comes to habits, let's start with the most basic principles. What do you eat during the day? Do you meal prep? Do you just eat when you're hungry? Are you surrounded by McDonald's and fast food and whatnot? What do you eat in the average day? What habits do you have with what you consume? Because if you consume garbage, you're going to feel like garbage. You are what you eat. That's what my mother used to say. And odds are your mother said the same thing. Because it's a very simple fact. Now, you may not become a Fruit Loop, or you might not become a donut if that's what you're eating, but it affects your biochemistry and it affects how your mind operates, which then by extension will make it so that you will feel more sluggish. You won't feel as motivated. You'll have less energy, or maybe you'll just feel less inspired, less driven. Well, that will affect your life. And if that happens one day out of 7, think about how much it'll add up over time. How many weeks are in a year? 52? That's 52 days of the year that you took off. That adds up. Add that over 5 years, starts to become bigger, doesn't it? Now, I'm not using this to guilt you. That's not my intention at all. I simply want to explain why I say that it is the duty of every person to be rich and a sin to be poor. Because when you take time off or you set yourself up for failure, you are actively sowing the seeds of lack, limitation, sorrow, laziness, and that is what you're reaping the benefits of those sins. You are reaping the sin instead of reaping success. That is what happens to people. And that's what I tell you. That's why I'm telling you this. To develop good habits means you are becoming a dutiful steward of the things that you have. And that will make you wealthy. People are not wealthy because they get random gifts. They are become wealthy and successful because they made the best of what they had, so they were then given more, and they never just let things slip through their fingers. They always maximized everything they had. And they never once took anything for granted. They disciplined themselves and they made themselves better and improved every single day, and they were always hungry for more. You could separate most people into consumers and producers. Now, that is not to say that producers don't also consume, but it does imply, and I would agree, that most consumers never produce anything. All they do is just take and take. They might as well be a leech on the back of someone's hand or a tick on the back of someone's neck. All they do is a leech. Now, I'm here for, I love consumers because they're here to consume my product and the product of other people, whether it be in this space or in other spaces online. But I don't want you to be like the masses, because the masses are many things. Right is not one of them. If you want to be rich, is the average person rich? No? Then why are you acting like the average person? If you want to be extraordinary, you have to be extra than ordinary. You get it? Habits you must develop have to start from within. They start with your diet. They start with your ability to run your morning, your day. You can't control what you eat. You can't control how many times you go to the gym. You can't control what it is you do in an average day. Then how the hell are you going to decide what happens with the rest of your life? Start with little things. How many times do you brush your teeth during the day? That's a habit. How many times do you eat during the day? That's a habit. How many times do you clean up your room? How many times do you take time to meditate? These are little habits that people overlook, but can set the tone for the rest of your day. It can be really intimidating to change everything about your day, much less your life. But if you change just how many times you brush your teeth that day, how many times you ate something healthy during the day, how many times you went to the gym during the week, those things will add up, and they can then become a platform for you to settle to start building this new life of yours that you want to live. Before you know it, you will be living in this new, amazing luxury house that you built from scratch. But it started with laying the foundation and then putting one board before another and then laying concrete. It takes time, it takes steps, it takes discipline, it takes time, consistency to develop habits that will make you rich, make you wealthy. Habits will change your behavior, which will change your life. And if you want to start, you need to start now. Because the longer you wait, the more you're setting in stone these extra habits that are tearing you down. The more you water the weeds instead of watering the wheat that could be baked into the daily bread that could feed yourself for the rest of your life. Stop waiting for someone to save you and start looking to succeed in everything that you touch, everything that you do. Become like King Midas and have the golden touch. Because then everything that you encounter will become golden, and you will become the man that everyone respects and that every woman wants. My friends, God bless you. God bless your family on this beautiful day. God bless America. Let's go and conquer the world together. I know you can do it. The only person holding you back is you. So why are you letting him get in your way? The man in the mirror is in your way. You gotta get him out. Peace.